Good evening, everybody, and welcome this evening to PSGL F10. Welcome back then for round 7. We are into the second half now of this PSGL season, and hopefully we should be in for a really interesting night tonight. Of course, championship leader, I forgot his name already. I know who it is. I just need to find the standings thing. Hersey, there we go. I kept forgetting his name, but there we go. I could have just looked on the screen here, but Hersey leads the way, and quite a dominant lead indeed, starting to form now. 75 points for him, but his championship rival Dende is looking to come back. Last week we saw a fairly entertaining race at Italy, definitely in contrast to the Monaco race we saw, which obviously saw Hersey win by around he won by 20 seconds, but it would have been around like 40 seconds. If there was not a safety car, but he won by a fairly large margin anyway. And we are here for round 7, of course. Russia, Sochi, a track in real life, not particularly known for the greatest sort of marks, let's be honest. A lot of people don't really enjoy this track either, because there's a lot of penalisation, very easy at this track, but to be honest with you, it's a fairly decent flowing track in terms of the game. In real life, you know, it's fair, but in terms of the action in real life, it's not particularly good. But that is in real life. This is a game, and this is where people will likely take a bit more risks as well. And to be honest with you, the track attributes on the game are a little bit different to real life, because some people do tend to make more overtakes here. Anyway then, Lewis 05 is the first person to start his lap. New to PSGL, I believe, this season. Haven't seen him before in here, but he's in the Alfa Romeo tonight. I think he must be replacing someone from reserve as he comes towards turn 2 now, because remember, turn 1 is that small little dink to the right coming through on the DRS straight. Now through the long turn 3, we've seen Sebastian Vettel go into the wall here on lap 1. Be sure to watch this race into lap 1, because it's definitely going to be a bit of a mess potentially through turn 4 and turn 5 now. And purple through the first sector for Lewis, but that's because he's the first person to start a lap. Round to turn 6 and then through to turn 7 now. Pretty tricky through here. Don't get too much of the bumps, otherwise you could go wide and lose the car. Now down to turn 9. And now onto a DRS straight. Pretty long this one is. A good overtaking opportunity comes at the end of this, but it's a dreaded section after this, because if you don't make the overtakes into here, you're not going to make the overtakes really until you get across the finish line. Then coming down to this corner, the 90-degree turns continue right to the end now coming into the final few corners of this Sochi Autodrome circuit. Take as much wide line as you possibly can. Lewis does that. Hasn't invalidate, which is good. You still can easily invalidate at the exit of here if you go a little bit wide. Same here, you get a little bit too excited if you're on a good lap, but he finishes the lap at 1:30.3. and that's enough to beat Black Phoenix, which is a driver who does tend to finish quite highly. So it's actually a good start there from Lewis, a good comparison to someone who does finish fairly decently on most occasions. Rika also not able to match Lewis. Neither is James Dovey, a driver who always finishes 4th. We've noticed in qualifying and in the race, he does tend to finish in a pretty high position as well. And here comes Dende across the line. He goes 2nd place, so no one stopping Lewis at the moment. I'm expecting Hersey to be the one to do that, but never say never. Here comes Stiggy then. Stiggy coming around the final 2 corners. A little bit of a moment there on the second to last corner. The final corner he does invalidate, so that's his lap over. He'll be pretty disappointed with that in the end. Let's try and find track formula if we can get him. He's invalidated. Great. Dave's just starting his lap. What about Jendrik? Jendrik is just starting his lap, really. Jack Tyler's finished his, and he has invalidated as well. So a lot of invalidations, not surprising. So we're just going to quickly look at the messages. We've only got one message to really go off, and that's Dino. Race is going to be fun. Well, it should be fun. Hopefully it's fun. But obviously, we would definitely... You would probably prefer to be in a higher position than 17th at the moment, especially around this track. It would be a good preference, but... you know, who knows? We could just see 1,000 overtakes at this track. It can happen. Next few people in the chat. Her Hey domination. Oh, I'm pretty sure that's Hersey domination will end this week if we work together. Don't tell me you're going to actually try and perhaps take him out. Because don't do that. It would not be appreciated. We like doing this in the civil way. Anyway, Mimula F1. Lewis is a Russia merchant. I've never really known someone to be a Russia merchant. The main one really is Austria, but you know, apparently Russia is someone's favourite track as well. As Jendrik comes across the line, we're now looking for Hersey. Hersey, we're coming towards the end. Well, he'll be coming towards the end, but he definitely will not be getting a lap time in at the moment. We've got 10 comments at the moment, but it's showing only 3 for me. Now 4. I don't know. I think that's broken. I don't know. But anyway, that must be broken. Because I've still only shown 4 comments. You'll just defend from him very hard. That's fine, and that's good. To be honest with you, you'll be surprised. Many people say that overtaking is the entertainment for F1. I tell you what is probably more entertaining is a good old battle. If you just make an overtake and disappear, then the whole action just becomes saturated, doesn't it, at the end of the day? And then you say, oh, we want more overtakes. So yeah, but we want more on-track action. That's really what you should be saying. Because the on-track action is the fun part, where they're all just battling for position, getting very close to the edge. But that's enough about F1 in real life. Here comes Poggle then, coming towards the line. Only 7 people setting lap times. We're 8 minutes into this session. It will now be 8 people setting it, but that just shows the whole nature of this track. It's very easy to invalidate, and because of that, it seems to be a bit of a struggle for over half the grid here at the moment. I'm hoping that does change down the line, but it's a poor early sight. But I reckon we will get everyone setting their laps in towards the end. Is Yigamau on a lap? He is. He's coming towards the end of his lap now. There maybe is one person ahead of him. We'll have to wait and see. 2 more corners to go then for the Sauber driver. Or the Alfa Romeo driver. I've got completely muddled up. I saw Sauber as the first word on the halo there. I was like, oh, the Sauber driver. No. But no, I do know. Don't worry. It is the Alfa Romeo driver most certainly. But, you know, rumours say otherwise in the future. But this is the 2020 cars, isn't it? This isn't like the 2021 or 2022 cars, is it? So we'll have to wait and see. Dino on the medium tyres. This is not a favourable tyre in qualifying. Of course, everyone really goes for the softs unless this is Singapore, which is actually next on the calendar. So a good little promotion there for next week. Don't forget to tune in, everybody. But Dino now coming towards the final corner, and he's going to finish his lap. What's it going to be? A 32.8 expected for the mediums. That's a pretty fair lap there from the Red Bull driver. Shouldn't be his fastest lap. Yigamau, head of Warren Haug, doesn't want to be in the way. You ready for a big boy send like Spa? I mean, if you do, obviously again make sure it's clean. It was really nice last time. I really enjoyed that. That was a really nice move you got there, but it's not always gonna work. So obviously just be careful, is all I'm saying. Anyway, Vonis, 14th place right now because he hasn't set a lap. 12 people have, and he's probably been taking this lap a little bit more cautiously. I could be wrong though, because it does seem like it could be a good lap. He goes 5th place in the 5th driver into the 1 minute 30s. Still no one toppling Lewis. Where is he on the track? He's coming through sector 1 now, so we'll just pop off from him a little bit. Vonis has just completed his lap. I don't know why I went straight to him. Is Black Phoenix ahead of Rike? Yes, he is. So we'll just stick with Black Phoenix for now, and let's see what he can do. 3 more corners to go. Nice little straight here, and then onto 2 90-degree corners. This might as well be called the 90-degree circuit, because at the end of the day, that's all really the variation of corners there is. Black Phoenix does not become the 6th driver into the 1 minute 30s, as he stays in the 1 minute 31s, but is the fastest in that time zone. But that is obviously not going to get you pole position. Jack Tyler, nope. Stiggy's further up, but he's not the furthest up, I don't think. I'll stick with him anyway, because I can't be asked to navigate my way through all these cars ahead of him. They all look like they're on the in laps anyway, or out laps alternatively. And this could be a little bit interesting. Traffic up ahead. Vonus needs to get out the way. Make sure he doesn't get in the way of Stiggy here. He does go wide. That might be a little bit awkward there for Stiggy, but he does navigate it quite cleanly, quite well as well. He's coming through the corners, pushing a little bit more. Needs to not invalidate, because remember, he invalidated that last corner last lap. So to finish a lap, he's only got one corner to go. This is where he did screw up last time. Locks off again, but he goes 11th place. So he will be happy with that for now, but he would be probably looking to push furthermore. His teammate then coming through the final two corners. Let's see what Jack Tyler can do. This is his first soft lap. He did set a lap on the he did set a lap on the mediums. That was Dino I was thinking about, but he goes 8th, Jack Tyler. So decent lap time from him. I'll expect improvements later in the session. Hersey, championship leader then. Let's see how he is doing at the moment. 2 more corners left to go. He's only got 5 seconds to get that pole position from Lewis, but Lewis seems to be having a whole lot of excitement right now because the championship leader, Hersey, in 5th place. That's a sight we don't see too often, I'm going to be honest, at the moment. But anyway, Dende's invalidated, so we'll stick with James Dovey, and in fact he is further up, and the next driver to actually finish, Alexander Johnson. Are you a driver? I'm not sure if you are. If you are, it will rain. So that's interesting. Good for us in the race. I did a race at Russia, very heavy rain, and it was a grid that was fairly competitive, probably a little bit better than me, and I was still able to finish in 2nd place. So in the rain at this track, I seem to have done pretty well in it, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure rain is probably a bit of a sigh for most folk, including myself, because most tracks I do actually tend to be absolutely shambolic at in the rain conditions, and it is a wet start confirmed by James Dovey there, so that's going to be an interesting race then. Is it wet to dry, I'm assuming? So if that is the case, I think that will be interesting as well, because we've got a little bit of an unpredictable strategy perhaps for those either inside or outside the top 10. Okay, so it is wet to dry, or it's likely to be wet to dry, because it's not always the case. But it is good to see that we've got that little variation there, and it would test the skills of both conditions as well. And this is a track that also tests I guess the confidence through corners, and there's a pure example. Dave invalidating that on the final corner. You could tell by the revs there, he kind of got a little bit annoyed and carried away after that. And your game's crashed, Alpha. Brilliant. I'll invite you now, because obviously we're getting on to the final laps now for everyone very soon. So I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to be the one who quickly invites you. Should only take me a couple seconds. If my PlayStation will want to load for me. And load the right person, frankly. I'm assuming your name is exactly the same as your PSN. Because at the moment I cannot find it. I got you as a friend, but you're appearing offline, aren't you? If that's the case, that's stubborn. Oh, I've got to find through so many different names now. You're not there. I don't know why. 2 underscores before F1. Okay. Right. If I put 2 underscores, is it going to show up? No. It says Alpha someone else. Right. Hopefully. Yes, I found you, finally. You were online. I don't know why it weren't appearing then. Anyway, there we go. Back to the action then. I need to see the timer, but the... Come on, let me see. Thank you. Right, we've got 2 minutes left. Hopefully no one else lags out now. Would be much appreciated. Oh my goodness, Vonus. I can't tell what Vonus is doing. Is he out in pit? Where is he? Oh, what on earth? Well, it fixed it, but yeah, what on earth? Some weird stuff going on. everyone on outlaps then at the moment. Who's the furthest up? It is Davey W, I believe. And yes, it is. He will be the furthest up, and he'll be the first person to start his lap. So let's see how he does then. We got a whole lap to go then for Davey W. He will have another shot at it if he does invalidate, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't probably put the fuel in eligible for that. But as he comes out, there's Warren Howe coming out. He's coming out relatively late then. He's one of the last cars, but now coming down to the first braking point of this track. Let's see what Davey does. He's really pushing that car through the corners to the inside then of the long turn 3. It's never ending. Left hand corner, then the right hand corner of turn 4. Pretty decent lap so far for Davey, really starting to push the car's limits a little bit. Now coming through turn 5, braking rather late, just after the apex, a little lock up there, probably going to distract him a little bit, but he's going to be alright. Now coming through this twisty section, quite tricky through here. The curbs can be deadly as well, as discovered from a Twitter post that I saw, but he really is tying this lap up pretty nicely. He is down in 11th at the moment. He'll be looking to improve a slight little correction there, as he looked like he was turning in a bit too early. Big correction can cost you a lot. A little bit of a slipstream there, probably not even voluntary, probably just because of position. Oh, lock up there, that corner, that's going to cost him a bit of time as well. So this lap looks like a good lap, but unfortunately Davey W has backed out because he knows that this lap is probably not the best he could do after that lock up. So Jack Tyler is the next person. He is actually on a lap still. He hasn't invalidated. Still a couple of corners. And let's see. Coming through these corners now, 90-degree corners, really have to drag the wheel round to get through them, and I say that, but Jack Tyler is actually on the controller, and oh my goodness, that wheel spin out that corner. He's really trying to push his way to the line here. 2 more corners to go. He's got Dende ahead of him. Dende's just about to start his lap with 13 seconds to go, and Dende has to get a move on. He can't really probably maximise his thing, and Jack Tyler comes across the line 3rd place. Black Phoenix, is he the finisher? No, he wasn't, but now he's finished with his lap because obviously he's just invalidated. The McLaren of TRT Gendrick is next. No, it's James Dovey somehow. How's he finished? I don't really know how he's finished. Because that's an odd one. Anyway, so Gendrick, he's not the furthest up. I think Dave is the furthest up. No, it's his teammate. No point. Let's go back on board with Gendrick, because the other two are literally just coming around the final corner now. But Gendrick then, 2 more corners to go. He's close to invalidating. That is surely an invalidation there. And unfortunately for the McLaren driver, he will be going nowhere higher at the moment. Lewis then doesn't go any higher. Anyone still yet to finish a lap? Yes, there is. Championship leader Hersey then is going to be one to finish his lap. Stiggy is further up, so we're going to just quickly go here. It's the final corner. He has been locking up there quite often. He does improve. Where's Hersey then? Hersey coming through the final 2 corners. Doesn't invalidate. Does he go through the final corner? And there he goes. He goes 6th place then. So not pole position for Hersey. In fact, it's 6th place behind Denley, Vonis, Jack Tyler, Trap Formula, and Lewis gets pole position by 3 attempts. It was said that he was a Russia merchant, to quote Mimula 1, but I think that's proven here. Very close though in the battle for 2nd place. Less than a hundredth, isn't that, between them? I think. Yeah, look at that. Look how close that is between 2nd and 4th place there. We know that the gap is massive for Lewis. Absolutely massive for the Australian driver on his debut in the Alfa Romeo. But Trap Formula in 2nd, Dende in 3rd. Good position for him. Jack Tyler in 4th place. Vonis in 5th. Hersey 6th. James Dovey in 7th place. Finally breaks that record of 4th places in a row. He'll probably finish 4th place in the race, knowing our luck. Aero Specialist in 8th, Poggle in 9th, and Davey W inside the top 10. And for curiosity, outside the top 10, there are the drivers: Black Phoenix, Stiggy, Warren, Gendrick, Dave, Rika, Dino, Yigamau, and Alpha. So Dino, who said in the chat this is going to be a really fun race, well, you're starting this really fun race from the back, so that's going to be an interesting one. Looking in the chat, Aero Specialist. Look, the group chat is easy. Wait, I don't. Sorry, You'll have to translate that a little bit better because that was a little bit hard to really understand. But I'm not going to fuss too much. But wow, it's heavy wet rain, so we're going to be having a wet start. I think I'll be very surprised if you've got intermediate tyres for those conditions. I've been wrong in the past, but track formula. Teammates done the same thing again, like in Italy. Nice one. Only got one lap in again. And James Dovey had the same. Oh, that's unfortunate, isn't it? P2, but well, to be honest with you, track formula. Did your teammate cost you 3/10? That's really the question you've got to go with, because I'm sure your teammate didn't cost you 3/10. I don't know if he maybe cost you an invalidation, perhaps, because if that is the case, you may need to talk with your teammate. I think the best thing to do is go in a party with your teammate. You're not barred from that, of course. That's not an illegal rule. Otherwise, I think Big C would be under a bit of fire if that became a rule. But no, that's not a rule. You can talk to your teammates. So if you're having those problems, perhaps have a little chat, and etc. He came out the box when he was coming in. Oh, okay. I think that's just a bit of a miscommunication. I wouldn't really say that's ruined your lap or your qualifying, to be honest. But I think you should just be happy with P2, because P1 was you had to make up a lot of time to get P1, to be honest. So I think I'd be happy with P2 either way. And hey ho, you're on the front row. That rhymed, and I didn't want to make that rhyme. But you're on the front row, so I don't see really the problem. If you just get a good start, it's a long launch down to the first braking zone. You've got enough time there to actually make up on Lewis. So if you get a good start, chat formula, I don't think P2's going to be really too damaging, if I'm honest. As I need to get all the information available to you guys so you can see. I like the tyres, and yes, it is pure wets for everyone. That is no surprise there. I think it's going to be an interesting race, this one. We haven't seen much of the wet sort of conditions here, and I would be interested to see how these drivers cope. I believe Hersey was fairly quick in the wet. I think going back to Britain, because I think Britain was a wet race for half of it and then went to dry, and I think Hersey just ran away with it in the end because of his wet pace. So it went dry to wet, I think, actually. Can't entirely remember. That's quite a while ago, but if I do recap that he did win that race by around 10 seconds. But interestingly, he starts on 6th for the grid today, and he's behind some fairly decent competition. Jack Tyler and Dende and Trap Formula all have been prospects to potentially get wins this season, and are probably all waiting for wins, or another win in Dende's case. And Vonus, we haven't seen too much of Vonus this season, but it's a good position. You know, I think he could go for things. I'm kind of wrong there. He hasn't been on the podium. That's the reason why he's probably not had the significant acknowledgement. But he's actually 7th in the championship with 22 points, which is fair decent. I think the same really goes for Trap Formula. Really, he did get 2nd place in Monaco. Just a little bit of inconsistency has cost him his points. But he's on the front row, so he'll be pretty happy with this one. As we just get set and ready to go then for the 7th round here in PSGL. Start the second half of the PSGL season as well. Cars just getting into their grid spots. As we just wait for the lights to come on. I'm just going to keep spamming this until we've got the proper view. Here they come then. All the lights are on. And we're underway here in Russia. It's a slow start. Well, expectedly, Jendrick gets a drive-through penalty straight away there, so he went very early. Good start from Lewis, and in the end, Dende gets a good start. A lot of cars all over the place. You'd expect that in the first corner. Everyone else is just in the back there, going quite wide. But in the first corner, look at Trap Formula. Looking to the inside, he's lost his head plate to Lewis there. That's kind of harsh, really, to be honest, from the game's physics, giving him a little bit of a nudge there. But anyway, Trap Formula remains in second place, Dende in third, Jack Tyler in fourth, Puggles heading down a few places, same with James Dovey. A little bit of an overtake there from Stiggy. Is he going to make it stick? He does leave him a little bit of space. Going wide, Davey W in the background there. We haven't seen much of hers. He hasn't made any overtakes, but towards the back, we're looking for another overtake here. It's the Williams of Warren Haug, who's making an overtake on the Alpha F1. Looking further forward, Hersey now finally making a move upwards then, up to 5th place, beating out Vonis. Vonis now under a bit of pressure from the Alpha Tauri, which is actually getting backed up a little bit by Dende, but actually by Trap Formula in second place. And obviously there's a simple reason down to that, and that is obviously what has happened to his front wing. Jendrick then, I think, is in the wall. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up retiring from this race. It's very unfortunate he got a drive-through, which has really put him off, I think. And yeah, he's at the back of the grid, and Hersey making up another position on Jack Tyler there. I've completely missed that one, looking further back, but Trap Formula really not helping Dende right now. Dende stuck behind Trap Formula looking as much as he can to try and help himself, but Dende going a little bit wide there, opens the door potentially for Hersey here. Hersey just looks much more comfortable on the straights here, looking close, but there goes Trap Formula into the pits, so now we will see the proper pace of these two then, and as I did discover earlier, Hersey does do good in the wet here, goes wide though for Dende as Lewis goes down positions there, but that's because of a small glitch. But look at this, Hersey going side by side with Dende. He's got the inside line. It should be an easy overtake here. Is Dende fighting back? They're still side by side through the corners. Breaks later, Dende. Has he made the corner? Oh, he's just about made it, and I think he will have the inside line here, so he will be able to remain in that second place, but it's cost him a little bit of time here. Can Dende close up? No, he cannot. Jack Tyler behind. It says he's in 10th, but he's actually in 4th place. Wide again, though, from Dende. Dende would not want to see that. And there we go. Hersey into second place then. And this man seems unbeatable in no matter what conditions you get him. In the race, he seems incredible. He's gone from 6th to 2nd in 2 laps already. Aero specialist in the pits. That's not because of damage or any. Well, that'd be because of damage perhaps. But interestingly, a couple of drivers are favouring the intermediates. That's a very interesting strategy. And looking at Warren Haug, it seems to be working. Unfortunately, I think that means they do have to do a 2-stop. I don't think we'll have a 1-stop scenario from lap 1. If anyone in the chat knows anything about the strategy in Russia and a 50% race, please let me know, because I do believe you cannot take intermediates from the end from lap 2 basically. And if you can, looks quite positive for them, because they are definitely making up time on the guys behind, but they're definitely not 1 second behind Dino, I can tell you that. They're quite a distance away from the Red Bull. And looking at Hersey, he's really closed the gap. He's really gained the gap on Dende. Dende just probably over pushing it a bit through some corners. I think that setup is really helping the Haas driver, but he just seems incredible in the wet conditions. He's closing up to Lewis now, the guy who was 4 tenths quicker, well, almost 4 tenths quicker than anyone in qualifying. That was in the dry conditions. In the wet conditions, it's all Hersey at the moment. He's in second place. He's 5 tenths off, and he's gaining closer and closer each single lap. Each sector, he keeps getting closer. Dende 2.1 seconds behind now. That's definitely not what he would have wanted, to lose all that time to Hersey in front of him, because now he's just a distance away, and this is not what he would want. Luckily, no DRS in the wet conditions, so he will not really get under too much threat from Jack Tyler, not as much as it would be in the DRS sort of conditions in the driver. Here goes Hersey. Surely he's not going to go for a move there. He's just going to sit back and wait. He knows that there is a lot of time here to play with. No need to go a little bit too aggressive. Just play it safe, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's waiting for the straight. The Haas driver really closing in on the Alfa Romeo driver, and I'm expecting him to overtake on this straight. He's very good in the straight line speed area, I can definitely tell you that, and there's a little bit of a train between these two. He's closing the gap a lot. Is he going to send it to the inside? He's looking about it, but he just backs out in the last minute. He knows he's got a lot of time to play with, doesn't need to rush it at the moment. But yeah, a good start from them. Looking further back, Stiggy perhaps maybe looking about potentially getting something on Vonis very, very soon. Not at the moment, though. He's stuck behind the Racing Point driver, and this is very tricky conditions. Off the racing line, you're just sliding about like you're on ice at the moment. And I mean, I'm just going to keep control of these intermediate tyre drivers. I'm waiting till we get to the fastest lap stage because I want to see what fastest laps we get. Looking back at the front, because we might see an overtake here again. Slipstream, it's definitely a winner for Hersey at the moment. The Slipstream, though, just not helping enough. He sticks behind Lewis again. Lewis, though, under a lot of pressure to perform. James Dovey actually makes an overtake on Sticky. So when Sticky was going to make an overtake on Vonis, he must have made a mistake or something out the final corner, because definitely it's opened the door for the McLaren driver. Track Formula setting the fastest lap at 49.6 on lap 4. What is that compared to the hard, which I think Hersey does have, is a 0.7, so it's actually fairly close between the intermediates and the wets. But looking at Hersey's pace right now in the wet conditions, it looks fairly strong, so maybe the comparison is not so good. So Track Formula can somehow make those intermediates to the end, which I can almost guarantee they cannot. I think we'll be in for an interesting shout this race. And in fact, I think these intermediates definitely will. It's more about whether these hards can make it to the stint, because apparently the race is going to go dry later on. I don't know how long it takes to really dry up in this race. It can always take a little while at the Russian Grand Prix to dry up. So really, these wet tyres, this early strategy onto the medium tyres may just work out for Track Formula. He's closing a lot of time. Lewis is actually not really holding up Hersey, but definitely not getting away from him. And Hersey, I think, shows that same frustration. He actually comes into the pits, so it looks like he's reacting to Track Formula. He's believing that he cannot hang on with these hard tyres long enough, because if he hangs on a little longer, he could have just saved himself a stop, but he believes the rain is going to go on long enough to catch up with the wet tyres, or for the wet tyres to run out of steam, so they have to come into the pits. Looking at second place is Vonis, and that is because Gendrick's into the pits again. He is a lap down. That's surprising, though. Only 4 drivers opted to stay out. I'm a little surprised about that. Particularly because that shows to me that we are in a long run for the wet conditions. It looks like we're not going to be going dry tyres until possibly the end, or not at all. Then, if they've opted to come in for intermediates, I mean, 4 are still on the hards, not the hards, the wets. Got them mixed up. But Hersey now has a 6-second lead, so we're going to look further back to where there probably is more action. This is the battle for 10th place. We've got Warren Haug then in his Renault. And this is what's the problem around this track. We've got no overtaking opportunities here. And I think if we were to see an overtake here, it'd be quite remarkable, if I'm honest, especially if it's nice and clean. If it's not nice and clean, then that's expected, of course. But here come the penalties. As it looks like Warren Haug has worn off a little bit, but the penalties are starting to come. Alpha F1 has one, Jack Tyler has one as well, and this is what everyone dislikes about this track, is that it is penalty galore. It's penalty heaven, really, for some people. Poggle's quite close to the Alpha Tauri, not going to be making a move just yet. And wow, so everyone's in belief then that the wet tyres are not favourable. They must go to inters, otherwise they cannot make the one-stop work. So interesting. I'm sure Lewis will get out ahead of Hersey, otherwise Hersey just has incredible pace. And you know what? This is going to be really, really close here. Look at this then. Hersey's got out into the lead ahead of Lewis. This is what's been really infuriating for the Alfa Romeo driver. Whether he's been held in the pits or something, I don't know. But very wide there from Hersey. That probably is just down to the cold tyres. But, I mean, he's made that work. I'm surprised about that because it really did look like the pace of these intermediates are going to be much more significant than the wets. And somehow, Hersey has made an extra lap work. That's remarkable. Anyway, James Dovey gets a penalty. Gendrick gets a penalty. So both McLarens get the penalty on the same lap. A lot of penalties getting dished out at the moment. But Hersey now has the chance to pull the gap. He's got the clean air ahead of him. No one near him. And obviously no DRS because of the wet weather. And because he's also 1 second clear now. So really, he's got all the freedom in the world just to keep pushing away now. Looking further back though, Poggle at the moment 7 tenths behind Jack Tyler. Considerably closing, but not enough. So at the moment, we'll just have to wait and see for a next overtake. 4 tenths between Poggle and Jack Tyler. Jack Tyler a little bit squeamish over over the bump there. And you probably won't want to see that. He's been quite odd on the traction control, getting on the throttle too early in many different corners, including this one. Over the bump goes Poggle, and he takes a more narrower line, but it doesn't really work. But now we've got a little bit of a train coming on here, and in the dry conditions, trains can be quite boring. In the wet conditions, they could be a little bit more varied, let's say. But here comes Poggle. Jack Tyler's got loads of VRS, more than Poggle does, so he's able to keep ahead. And no overtake will be seen here. A little lock-up from the Mercedes then. And still no real overtake happening, and this is where this track really falls a little bit, and we all know why. And yeah, thanks now to that's a nice I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and obviously Luke Etheridge as well. Of course, see you on Monday. Of course, only a few days away now till we have to explore this track again, and it will take a good couple of laps till the tyres fully spray. Full spray will still remain. So yeah, it will take a couple of laps, and oh, we've got a safety car. What's that for? I just turned back to the action, and we've got a safety car. No one's retired. I don't know if anyone picked up damage. Oh, well, there's the answer for the safety car. Alpha's got insane damage. He hasn't got any front wing there. Obviously now he's kind of screwed here because it's definitely not dry enough for the dry tyres. It's obvious to go on the intermediates, but annoyingly he's got to make another stop. Not annoyingly though, he's got a safety car and not a VSC. So he will be able to catch up. I think this is going to be interesting now, because Lewis is going to catch up to Hersey, meaning that the start is going to be crucial for the restart's going to be crucial for the Haas driver. I couldn't get my words out at all there. Anyway, into the pits he comes, and we'll just have to be waiting now. A safety car always has to throw something into the mix, but it also leaves us a little bit dry because we don't have any topics. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see till the restart, and it will take a little while to get there. But at the moment, the positive thing is that the grid is really closed up now. So I wonder if Lewis is going to perhaps try something a little bit more risky than before. But as you can see from the onboard, still wet conditions. We're not going to be going dry anytime soon. So, obviously no position changes, no penalties taken away, of course. Let's actually look at the penalty situation. I would be surprised if someone has 6 seconds. No, everyone has 3. That has 1, of course. And well, I think it would be interesting if the rain just stopped now, to be honest. Because at the moment, from the data we know in the dry, from qualifying anyway, we don't have the significant data, but Lewis looks quick in the dry. In the wet, he looks a little bit worse for wear compared to Hersey. However, we have seen that Hersey is an absolute god in the race anyway at the moment. But Lewis looks fairly quick in the dry, so I think that's what he'd be praying for, as it goes to dry conditions soon. But yeah, I could be wrong. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I was just very surprised that this man, speaking of penalties, severe collision with Dave. So it's a 5-second penalty for Rika. Whether he'll take that to the pit stops, I don't think so. I think interestingly though for Hersey is he was on a tyre that was obviously slower, and we could tell it was slower because the intermediates came in on lap 2. Well, the first drivers came into the pit on lap 2 to get on to the inters, and yet somehow in some way Hersey was able to get out ahead of, even though Lewis was actually ahead of Hersey as well when Lewis pitted. Lewis for some reason was still not able to come out ahead of Hersey, despite Hersey pitting a lap later to get rid of the worst tyre. So it's actually a pretty good pace Hersey has, and now he's on the same tyre as Lewis, and he's ahead of Lewis, and we've already seen before the safety car that he is pulling away from Lewis. I'm very intrigued to see what he can do now. So you just wait for Jendrick now to come back at the back. I think he'll be very thankful of this safety car, because he had another 5-second penalty, Rika, for speeding in the pit lane. Whether he's going to retire, I'm hoping he doesn't, because there's still room for opportunity. Let's not be wrong here. But I think Rika's onto the mediums. He's got a wing change. That probably explains why he was in the pits, but he's on the mediums. Is that just a bluff up on the strategy, or does he genuinely think those mediums are going to be alright? Surely that's a bluff up. Well, we'll see when he comes out of the pits. I'm sure he'd be absolutely livid. If he could drive these well, I'll be stunned. It's not letting me go on board because I want to see how he controls this. Now it will. Oh, he's very, very cautious into the first corner, unsurprisingly. And even more unsurprisingly, he is basically going to be a dog through this corner. And the really annoying thing is, unless obviously Rika has a crash or spins, Dave cannot get by. And this is very precautionary for the Racing Point driver, because Rika's obviously going to be much slower through these corners, and there's nothing Dave can do about it. And I expect safety car to be in this lap, because I do expect these guys to catch up to the back. So Rika is in a whole world of it. And there we go, safety car in this lap even before Rika's got there. So a whole big nightmare for the Mercedes driver. He'll surely have to pit again. Well, Dave's got by. Has that allowed him by? It looks like it. It looks like he's allowed him by to get to the back of the grid. But anyway, let's go back to the front, because we know Rika is surely going to pit again. I will be stunned if he somehow makes it through this. I think interestingly as well with that one is that it does dry up, so if he can hold it together. But Hersey's gone now anyway, and he's already put up a significant gap already to the car behind. 1.3 seconds, a brilliant getaway there for Hersey. Lewis under a little bit of the covers at the moment, 1.6 seconds, and it'll be 1.7 I think at the end of this straight. In fact not, he's kept it quite clean because of that, but these two behind him, Trap Formula and Dende, almost identically moving to the left there, to the right, if you think about it. And look at that, that was identical. I was just looking back on the stream. Looks very identical indeed. Trap Formula though going wider. We do know that Dende does struggle with these conditions. He has gone wide quite a few times it looks like, but he seems to have got it covered a little bit now. I'm interested to see what Trap Formula does though, whether he will launch an overtake very soon. Looking further back, Jägermann looks fairly close. He looks like he's got an overtake done. Has he got it nice and clean? Yes, he has, before the corner. So it was no real threat really from Black Phoenix, who moves down to 11th place. So the final points there is sorted at the moment. And gaps beginning to form at the front. Let's see, Trap Formula in a decent position. Well, not anymore. Warren Howell has got past Black Phoenix. So Black Phoenix in a whole mare then at the moment, it looks like. Wonder if he will sort that out soon. But yeah, as we can see, Rika 9 seconds behind. He didn't actually pit, which is surprising. Whether he is in really big belief that the rain is going to stop and the track is going to be perfect, I guess within the next lap, because simply you're not going to make up, say, because I'm pretty sure it's going to go to like at least 30 seconds by the end of next lap. Surely he's not going to make that sort of time up eventually when it does go dry, or if it even goes dry, because sometimes it doesn't even go dry despite it saying. Now we can have an overtake though to see. Davey W then, he's looking close on Black Phoenix. Black Phoenix has been kind of moving down positions. Davey W doesn't go to the inside, he looks to the outside, brakes marginally later than Black Phoenix. Black Phoenix is still there. There's the reason why Black Phoenix is getting swallowed up. That is simply because he's just not got the wings to do so. Davey W though has gone quite wide, and this has opened the door for Alpha F1, who takes 12th place. A brilliant move for the Ferrari. Is Davey W going to stick there? Yes he is, and he pushes Alpha out wide. Decent battling from the two, but it does look like Alpha is the winner at the moment. What about behind? It looks like Dino is just going to sit behind in the moment. Black Phoenix falling back a little further now with Aero Specialist moving up a position. 3.5 seconds between Lewis and Hersey. That just shows the sheer pace in the wets for Hersey. He just seems incredible, really. This man is unstoppable in the wet conditions, it looks like at the moment, which I'm genuinely surprised about, really. Almost so that, you know, probably I wouldn't want to face him myself, because I'll probably get absolutely done for in the wet conditions at the moment. 4 seconds clear, and we've only really had 2 laps since the safety car came in. Whether this is Lewis just backing up the field because he's not obviously as quick, because there's a little bit of a train here between these three. I wonder whether a good exit, just wait for a good exit here. Is Dende going to get it? Definitely not. He hasn't backed it up either. What about Trap Formula? Trap Formula hasn't backed it up either. So it does look like we're going to be in another lap just waiting for the next overtake at the moment between these guys. Looking further back, is there any overtakes moves potentially available? No, there is not. What about Jägermann? He is closing, but definitely not enough to really look at an overtake. Dino perhaps is closing. Again, just not enough really to get up to Davey W and just overtake him, but it's just not enough there. What about behind Dave into the corner as well? So no real overtakes being made. I'm waiting to see when Rika actually stops losing time. He's really going with these medium tyres. He's not actually coming into the pits. He's actually genuinely sticking out there in belief that they will finally stick to the ground. But he's losing so much time. However, looking at the delta here, it seems to be rather aggregate. But how? Okay, it's definitely going down now. Yeah, it's just not worked. It's not been a good day for Rika, has it? Really. He's 30 seconds behind the car ahead of him. This is interval, by the way. The gap to the leader is 55 seconds, so it's an insane gap to cover for Rika, which is unfortunate, and that's going to continue going up. But this gap continues to keep fluctuating up and down at the moment. Dende just needs a good exit, really, to catch up to Lewis at the moment. Still not quite got it. And he's still not close enough. Trap Formula behind, looking fairly close, just not looking close enough. Poggle in the pits. I wouldn't have thought he's going to the dry tyres. But it has stopped raining, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, I don't know if Mercedes are... I don't know whether Mercedes have done a complete bust-up here. But Poggle, they're in belief it is now time for the medium tyres to come on. Or the dry tyres to come on. Is that Hersey at the front? Surely not. It is! Hersey at the front has completely bottled it. He's in the wall. He's got out of it. But he's got no front wing. This is awkward here because he's now got to make sure he doesn't crash into anyone. But that's huge. Safety car out, which is going to be fortunate. But what's unfortunate is that, well, from Mercedes' point of view, they're in belief that the crossover point is now. So really, whether this may not help Mercedes, but for Hersey, because he's got to make a wing change, surely this is going to send him almost right down to around 12th, 13th place, even further down, because possibly, as he's at the end of the pit lane as well, so he's got a lot of cars to get by him. This is absolutely horrific for Hersey. He's caused himself a safety car, which loads of people are going to come in for. Well, well, well. I think this race has just been spiced up a notch. I think now we've got a bit of an unpredictability here, and I think what's more unpredictable is whether anyone is going to try and risk going on to the mediums. Surely it's not time for them at the moment. I mean, I say that. Everyone's in. There's a lot of spray still. That is odd. I was not expecting that. But everyone's in the pits. They're in belief that it's going to dry up. Well, I'm assuming everyone's going on the mediums. Someone's going on the softs there. So someone, well, including Lewis, gambling with the softs. The softs will definitely make it to the end, I reckon, from this point. Well, well, well. This race is just gone completely on its head. That's a spectacle to see right there. The race leader, Hersey, has completely bluffed that one up. He's sent down the field. Where is he? He's in 10th place at the moment. Has he come out in 10th place? Yes, he has. That's rather fortunate. Poor Poggle hasn't made any gains whatsoever from this. And a rather big mixture. Dino is still on the intermediates. Even if it's not ready for these tyres, that's a bit of a poor decision from Dino. I think he'll know that now. Because there isn't actually that much spray from the cars. Jordan Strudwick, I know who that is. I don't even know why I called you Jordan Strudwick. I know who you are. But anyway, you say way too early. I think it is early, yes, but look at the. It's already pretty much dry. Looking at the tyre temperatures, I could just about see at the bottom there. They're reaching mid-70s. So at the moment, I definitely agree. At the moment, it is still way too cold. Well, it's still a bit too cold to really say so. And it's dipping into the 60s, I think, as well there on the front right. Unfortunately, I don't have the TAS system, which if I did, that'd be brilliant. But it's only exclusive to the top leagues, which is fair, of course, for obvious reasons. But you got to think these tyres are probably not worse for wear after 1 or 2 laps. Well, that's what Lewis, Dende, well, everyone is hoping, isn't it? They're hoping they're fine in around a lap or two. Rika's gone on to new softs. I think that's just to get rid of his penalty. That does confirm we're on for another safety car lap, unless... well, okay, track formula's in. I don't get that sort of strategy. A few people coming into the pits, that must be down to wing damage, mustn't it? Well, I will never know, but I'm guessing that's down to wing damage. And although, yes, I do agree that it is probably too early, but again, I say this with measures. Obviously, this dry weather is just going to be fine in about a lap or two. There's no spray. There's no spray. Trap Formula surely had wing damage or something, and he's actually been... yeah, he must have had wing damage. I don't see any reason why he pitted to the back of the grid. But, well, this is very, very spicy now, because Lewis now leads this race, despite Hersey was on for... Well, he was his trajectory was on for a pretty easy win. Projected was the word I was looking for, by the way. But now, I think it's not so easy. He's down in 7th, he's got to overtake again, and he's back in the position, really, where he started the race in. So, I think this is a really interesting one. We've only got 11 laps to go, and when the safety car comes in, if it is at the end of this lap, it's going to be a bit of a dash to the line. This is a huge sprint. And the interesting thing is that he's going to dispatch Jack Tyler and Warren Haug. I'm sure of that, unless obviously they put up a really, really strong fight, because those soft tyres are going to make it to the end. Nice and easy. The medium tyres, obviously, nice and easy. But the soft tyres, obviously, will have much more grip. Let's look at the tyres now. It looks like they're up to temperature already. There's 80-something degrees now there on them, so they're definitely now in the zone. So it looks like the Mercedes were kind of right, and it actually has helped Poggle out. I was surprised about that. He's up in 9th place, so that decision from Mercedes was actually a fairly decent one for him. And for Lewis, I think he would be quite stunned. The fact that he is probably now one of the favourites to win this race. He's in control. But when's he going to go is the big question. A big bundle of cars. A huge gap between Yigamau and everyone else. I don't know why that's been done. But anyway, Lewis gets a alright start. He hasn't really gone, has he? Now he's definitely got to go because he's got past across the line here. But then out of the final corner, it's not the greatest of restarts, but it looks like he's going to be fine unless Dende does something really impressive. Goes quite defensive just to break the slipstream, but obviously there's no need to. He will retain the line. Looking further back, is there any overtakes? I think there was one attempt there in the background, but Hersey's already coming after James Dovey. He's looking to the outside, which will become the inside line here. Has he got it done? That's a brilliant move from the Haas driver. This is why he's the championship leader, and this is why he is looking to claw right back at the leaders, because that was a brilliant move at the back there. Anyway, looking now at close at Warren Haug. Where is this coming from? This insane speed. I know he's on the medium tyres, but this will be a brilliant move if he does it. Side by side through this corner. He's round the outside. Brilliant move, but actually he's clipped Warren Haug. I'm not too sure about that, but he has clipped him right there. That was very, very tight, really, to say whether that was a bad move or not. But to be honest with you, it's not a corner two, so I would be favourable of it not being a great move. But to be fair, it definitely was a very close one from being an absolute stunning move. But we'll have to wait and see for that one, or whether Warren puts that in the stewards. Looking further forward, it looks like Jack Tyler is still keeping up with the top two runners on the soft tyres, but he knows that Vonis and Hersey do not have penalties, and also these two behind him have the soft tyres, which should be quicker for now. I'm sure Hersey is in a bit of a raging sort of mood, and this is where we compare him to Lewis Hamilton a little bit. And obviously it's a bit hard to compare someone on a video game, but people always do say in the F1 paddock, when Lewis Hamilton's angry, you don't want to make Lewis Hamilton angry, because that makes him better. He's in his best performance when he's angry, and I'm pretty sure what happened here tonight tonight, with him losing this front wing like that, has made him more angry than ever with himself. So I think this is going to be a really interesting one for Hersey now, as he's got to make overtakes, and I think he will be quite annoyed with the fact that he's got to do that when he really could have just hustled out for a really good dominant race win. But at the moment, he's definitely loving life at the moment. He's closing in on Vonis, just backs out of it a little bit, and Vonis wouldn't like to see that. That's a penalty for him. Only increases Hersey's chance of... I think the win is a little bit of a long shot now, to be honest. Lewis has good pace. Jack Tyler's losing time as well. Vonis not going to be closing in just about enough. No, he doesn't. Track Formula could be making a move at the back. It's not really worth really seeing. She's going to make it on the straight anyway, but into the corner he goes. And yeah, nice and easy move for Track Formula. Not even defence worthy. He'll continue to make a climb up. That's going to be an interesting one to see. But still sticking on board with Hersey. Let's see what he can do. He's got a straight to go and a good exit here, which he has shown to have a bit of the grip advantage here, of course. Not only on the soft tyres, but seems to be very good for here. But DRS, this is what's going to change the factor here. Vonis, as long as he has that DRS, it's not good news for Hersey. And also not good news for Hersey is that James Dovey is also having a look. He's not going to make it. Jordan, you're kind of wrong, because everyone seems to be running at optimum speeds. It did seem like, though, for some time that it would probably take a little bit of a struggle. But it just seems to have gone well, hasn't it? So, you know, well done to them. But the strategy, I do agree, it was a bit of an odd one, really. I thought it was a bit early as well. But obviously not. They've done pretty well to get that one right. So Jack Tyler, I do expect to be overtaken on this lap. This is not good news for Hersey, and it is at the same time. If he can get by here, it is easily good news. If he can't, which is the likelihood here, and in fact Vonis probably may have a struggle here. Jack Tyler goes quite defensive into this corner. He has to take it all the way around the outside. Hersey decides to just... not Hersey, Vonis decides to back out, and annoyingly for Jack Tyler, it's another penalty there as he's under pressure, and the AlphaTauri with that... really nice livery from behind. I've got to admit, that is a really... I really do like the livery of the AlphaTauri. It's a really nice livery. But anyway, enough about liveries. We're on about the action. Now coming on to another potential overtaking zone. We have to get onto this straight. Onto lap 20 of 27. Only 7 laps to go. DRS open then for the Racing Point. Can the Racing Point finally make it up into third place? Jack Tyler goes defensive. Vonis to the outside. And it looks like Hersey won't be making a move, but Vonis definitely would be looking at it. A little bit of a clip there, and perhaps that has helped Hersey through as well. Jack Tyler a little bit unsettled. Is this opening the door for James Dovey? He goes to the inside. Can he make the move done? It looks like he has. So Jack Tyler, over that little clip, has lost 3 positions there, and including his penalties, it's not a good day for the Englishman. Hersey now looking to move up another position. He's lost a lot of time behind this battle, 3 seconds to be exact, to the 2 leaders up ahead, which we'll have to go to in a minute. They could be having a nice little battle soon, but these guys still battling away. But looking at the back, there's a spinner. It is Black Phoenix, and he's actually retired from the session on track. He's had enough. Not supposed to do that, but you know, sometimes people are quite unhappy, and I think he is relatively unhappy at the moment with today's race. But at the moment, Hersey may be looking for a move. It'd be a bit of a dive if he does send it, but he decides not to. James Dovey now is stuck in this annoying train, which probably means that he cannot overtake unless he goes for a move, but he almost actually loses the car completely there. Probably had a little bit of a heart attack moment, and I've completely been fooled off because Lewis is now behind Dende. I don't know if this is a strategic move from Lewis, because this does tend to happen, especially at Bahrain. At Bahrain, people do tend to sometimes just like go off the throttle a little bit to make sure that they had the DRS. But has this worked for Lewis is the big question. He's getting closer to Dende. Dende having a little bit of hesitation. Doesn't think about it. Lewis does think about the move. That's not really a great move, is it? I wonder if he'll get back the position. I think he's not got the momentum to keep it anyway. Hersey gets past Vonis, so at the same time, we were looking further up the field, though. Dende takes the lead then. Lewis, though, really tried to retaliate, but it did not work. Looking at James Dovey breaking way later than Vonis. We've got another safety car, ladies and gentlemen, and I wonder I wonder how this is going to go down. So for Hersey, he's really going to make back all his time. For Lewis, it's a position lost. And really for Dende, if he gets it all right, it's going to be a really, really good day for him, as he'll be tasting the champagne from the top step of the podium. But he's got 6 laps to navigate to make sure that is the case. And I'm pretty sure he'll be looking quite confident. But because of that safety car, perhaps things have got a little bit like spanner in the works. Especially if Hersey shows his overtaking ability that he has done today over these next couple of laps, he could be definitely in for a good fight, Dende. And annoyingly, it's his championship rival, who he needs to get ahead on today. Otherwise, crucially, it will become more difficult. But the medium tyre drivers, I think they'll be thinking for a moment, wait a minute, these tyres can go to the end. And I think they'll be kicking themselves, to be honest. Because the medium tyres were favourable, perhaps, midway through the race. But obviously the softs easily can make it to the end. So, well, I think we'll have to wait and see. We've got a few more laps remaining. And Dende leads the race for Lewis from Hersey. From Vonis. Vonis, a good performance today, by the way, may I add. And a couple guys actually are pitting from the medium tyres. So they'll lose a lot of positions. They'll actually be out of the points. So really, they are definitely looking for some sort of dash. But for penalties wise, Jägermount's got a drive through. That explains why he's in the pits. He's made a pit stop for fresh tyres, because obviously you cannot make you cannot do your drive through during the safety car. So Jägermount's race is absolutely destroyed. Jägermount won't be getting points. I know that for a fact. Warren Haug leaves the session, he's out anyway. Look how many stops people have had to make today. Some people have made 4 stops here. I mean, the highest 4-stop runner is Aero Specialist in 9th, so fair play to him. He could be getting points on a 4-stop strategy. Probably not the convenient route, but he's potentially on for points. Looking at positions gained, Dende 2 positions at the moment. Lewis losing 1. He got pole position, of course, with that stunner of a lap. And Hersey moving up 3 positions, showing he's got the quality race pace at the moment. Trap formula, again, we talked about the inconsistency. It's showed a little bit again today. 5 positions down on his original starting grid position, which was 2nd on the front row. But arguably, he did get wing damage. Let's remember, as there's a car going wide, Hersey going very wide there, may have costed him a warning. Is the safety car in this lap? I didn't quite see. I don't think it is it? So we're waiting a little while longer. As it still seems to tell me that I've got 152 notifications, even though I'm sure that's not true. Can I check the leader's warnings? That's actually a good question. I've checked the penalties, but none of them got them. Dende, well, he's been clean for the entire race. I think the first warning must have been just down to genuine sort of moment, sort of an accidental sort of thing. I think Lewis is 1 to go. He got a warning on the softs. That was his late dive bomb. So he's got 1 more warning to a penalty. Hersey only 1 warning. Vonis has a penalty, we know that. James Dovey also has a penalty, but I don't think anyone else could really be looking at winning today. And this is the more interesting one, because we do have these severe collisions happen. You literally just touch the car with a feather, and you can get yourself a 5-second penalty. And whether it's just or not, we'll never really know. But yeah, that's unfortunate that this game seems to hold, but at the moment, all the leaders are looking fairly clean for a finish for this race. And a nice little battle towards the end. I mean, the only one really who I can theoretically see winning this race, who hasn't got a penalty, but who also isn't in the top 3, it is Davey W, which I think that'd be an absolutely insane pace to show if he does, which he doesn't. So, well, I say he doesn't, but I could be completely stunned. Alpha's left the session. I think that's another disconnection. I'm hoping I don't need to invite you back, because safety car's going to be in this lap, and this is going to be a really entertaining bunch of laps. I think you surely can get back in through joining through a friend or something, like say Trap Formula, who does do the invites. So for preference of wanting to watch this restart, get underway. Oh, your game crashing. Why does your game keep crashing? That's an interesting thing. Anyway, Dende then, when's he going to get restarted? Just warming up his tyres, ready to go, and he's actually poised to strike almost perfectly there. Look at that, big gap made from Lewis, but however, he seems to be slow off the exit of that, but he seems to have made himself a valuable gap. Lewis has gone a little bit on the grass, and Hersey is already by. Looking at this, they're on the inside, side by side through the corners. Lewis, though, has the momentum on the straight line speed. Can he make the move to regain that second place? Hersey goes down the inside. Nice move from him, pushing Lewis wide. Lewis is back again, surprisingly not a penalty. Lewis to the inside, a huge moment between the two there, and Hersey spun. Hersey's gone again. That is surely his race over in terms of points anyway. He's going backwards, he's spinning backwards. Awkward to get onto the restart, but Hersey is round, and for Dende, he could have asked for anything more, because he's 1.3 clear, and he is also... Lewis is likely to probably get some sort of penalisation from that, and his championship rival Hersey down in 16th, not likely to get points anymore. So brilliant stuff for Dende. I think this lap, all this racing genuine, has really given him a lot of luck here, a lot of fortune. But to be fair, he's raced a brilliant race, nice and clean. Has made a few mistakes in the wet conditions, but he seems to be flying now in the dry conditions. He's got 1.6 away from Lewis. That's probably just down to the simple moment between Hersey and Lewis, which has cost him a bit of time, but he seems to be gaining it all as well, Dende, so well done to him at the moment. Yellow flag through sector 3. That is Jendrick again. Jendrick has been spinning quite frequently. He does come out ahead. Well, he does come ahead of Hersey at the moment. He's having a battle with the Haas. The Haas is just not having a good day, is he? Has he got wing damage again there somehow? No, he hasn't. Oh, he was just not enjoying this day, would he? He'd be infuriated. Now looking at James Dovey, he seems to be getting podiums quite often. He's looking for another one here. Where's he like on penalties? He's 3 seconds on the penalties. Looking at the gap to the leader, I'm looking more to the gap for James Dovey down to Poggle. Oh, that is very close indeed. So we're going to be seeing a brilliant race to the line for James Dovey, whether he's going to get a podium or not. Lewis seems to be very slow on this stint, which is quite surprising considering his qualifying pace here seems to be absolutely elite, so that's a bit of a surprise. James Dovey will probably be desperate just for precaution to get by, but Poggle is on the medium tyres. In fact, I've just realised that. So really, he's got no fuss. The only fuss he will be having is Davey W, who could potentially still land a bit of a blow. But Lewis is likely to finish second in this race originally. But in terms of who's finishing third, well, it could be actually anyone at the moment. Jack Tyler gets past Davey W, not helping Davey's chances out. And Jack Tyler's already got 6 seconds of penalty, so we shouldn't be seeing him on the podium unless any sort of moments here. But James Dovey probably desperate to get by just to make sure that he gets that podium spot that he wants again, which he may not get at the moment, but he has been having these moments of the exit of corners where he's been almost losing the traction. But now he's got a brilliant run on Lewis. Can he make the move here? Stick. He goes to the inside. DRS is actually open. I didn't realise you get DRSs early. Should be a nice and easy move. Not even worth really arguing about, but is Lewis going to do the same thing again? He's not. He knows that it didn't work last time. It's probably not going to work this time. So yeah, good move there from James Dovey. And I think Lewis also knows really that James Dovey has a penalty penalty, so really he doesn't really need to fight it, and that's probably the same sort of attitude he'll see with the cars behind him. He'll keep ahead of them, but just he won't really think about attacking James. He'll just want to stay in that 3-second gap. Looking further behind though, Trap Formula, what sort of penalties is he on? Is he on 3 seconds? Yes, he is. So he's still in a hunt, at least for 4th place. For a podium, I think it'd be very, very risky. Hersey left no space, his own fault. I have to look back at that, but I do kind of agree in some sense. It did look like perhaps it was a little bit forced there from Hersey, went to the inside. I'll never know, but here comes Trap Formula anyway. He's got the momentum. Is he going to send it? No, he's not. He's going to sit behind Vonus. He knows it'd be rather stupid of him to send it at that corner. As we have one more lap to go, then it will be your race leader Dende onto the final lap in 2 corners time, and he looks pretty sure for a nice victory here. He'll be taking the victory lane, as you would say in IndyCar with the Indy 500, but obviously in Formula 1 it's just the finish line, isn't it? It's no boring. It's so boring. It's not like some sort of thing. But here comes Trap Formula anyway. He's going to be making a move. He's going to be dashing on for 4th place here in this race. He moves over to the right just to make sure that he doesn't end up actually hitting anyone. But actually, if James Dovey can get away and Trap Formula can put pressure on Lewis here, we could actually see James Dovey finish in 2nd. There is a potential chance of that, but it would need Trap Formula to really get ballsy with some of these battles here. But he's 4 tenths behind Lewis, and he doesn't have really the ERS advantage, but neither do any of them, to be fair. Look at that. They're both identical through the corners. But yeah, Hersey now picking up a 3-second penalty. That just doesn't make his day any better, does it? Really. Unfortunately, no points picked up for the Estonian driver, and, well, unfortunately, he'll be looking on for round 8 for him in Singapore next week. But Trap Formula looking to just settle for 4th place as it is. Can Vonus come back at him? Vonus thinking about it. Can actually Trap Formula somehow launch an attack on Lewis? No, he doesn't. He just sits behind then. Looking further forward. Here comes the likely race leader now. I'm pretty sure I'll be very surprised if he doesn't win this race. F1R Dende, who's put in a brilliant performance today on this 11-lap-old softs. Of course, coming from the wet conditions to the dry conditions. He struggled in the wet, but he's shown absolute tenacious ability in the dry. Dende wins here tonight. James Dovey in 2nd. He narrowly misses out on 2nd place to Lewis, so Poggle goes 4th place. He'll be very happy with that. Trap Formula 5th, Vonus 6th. Dave in 7th, Aero Specialist in 8th, Rika in 9th. He picks up points in the end. Brilliant result for Rika, considering the strategy blunder really at the start there. And Stiggy in 10th place, rounding up the points. Unlucky for Davey W, who doesn't actually get any points, which I'm very surprised about, to be honest. But yeah, that is a big, big surprise for a lot of people. It says migrating host, so I'm guessing that Trap Formula is not happy with it. Either way, we're on board with his teammate right now, but it is Dende who wins the race. It's not Davey W, and the driver of the day is Dave. I don't know how many positions F1RC Dave made, but he's made positions. I think Hersey's also immediately left the session. That's unsurprising, isn't it? It's not really been a good day for the Estonian driver, who loses his championship lead to this man who's gone and won the race. He's done what he needed to do, and he did say, obviously, in the interviews last week, he needs to get back on top, and now he has done so. So brilliant drive from the Williams driver, F1R Dende, who gets onto the top step of the podium. And I said, if he wants to win this race today, he really needs to really pull out he really needs to pull out something big, because simply put, it looked like Hersey was unstoppable, and it started raining here again. Obviously that's just to do with the start, but a nice finish for Dende. Sunny skies and a sunny finish as well. A nice bright finish on the top step of the podium for the Williams team. And for Lewis in 2nd on his debut, I would say that's a pretty impressive result. Whether that will stick that way will depend if Hersey goes into the stewards or whatever happens. James Dovey picks up a nice another podium for 7th place. A brilliant performance from the Brit. 4th place with Poggle. A brilliant performance from Poggle today. The Russian driver doing very well indeed tonight. 5th place, of course, goes to Trap Formula there. It goes from 2nd to 5th. Vonus in 6th, Dave in 7th, Aero Specialist finishes 8th, Rika in 9th, and Stiggy finishes in 10th position. And here is the rest of the field, if you were wondering. We've got two of the podium sitters here tonight joining us, I think. I'm not sure if Lewis will join us, but what a race. I think it was a rather unpredictable one for both of you.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, it was like action from the start to the end, to be honest. It was like unpredictable. As I said in the chat, you're going to get 3 safety cars delivered, Sam. There you go.
Wow, you know how to make your predictions, don't you?
Yeah.
What do you think about your race, James? Moving up from 7th to 3rd, I'm sure you're very pleased with that.
Yeah, my dry pace is good. I only got 1 run in quali. I don't know, I was messing around for too long. And then I come in and my teammate was leaving and I didn't get back out. So, and in the wet, anyone that was around me, but I was fighting it the whole time. I was sideways most corners. It was horrendous.
Yeah, I could tell there was a particular point where I was on board of you and you were really fighting the car. You almost put it in the barrier through one of the corners and set free. Really nice save that one was. But yeah, Dende back on the top step of the podium, finally for the first time since Australia. And well, due to Hersey obviously having a few moments in the race, you now retake the lead in the championship. That must feel absolutely amazing at the moment.
Absolutely delighted. Absolutely delighted. Didn't see that coming as well, but like Hershey spun, I think, during the intermediates, but his pace was so quick. He was away like 5 seconds after a couple of laps from Lewis and me. And I was a bit faster than Lewis, but it's tough to overtake without the DRS. And then he had this mistake in the chicane in the last sector, and I got him, and then he dive bombed me into turn 1. And then it was drying up so quickly, so we went on the softs, and I was really happy. And then I don't know what happened with Hershey. I didn't see it.
I had a good view.
I think you did, because I think you made an overtake on, or you at least attempted to have an overtake on Lewis, like straight after it. But yeah, there's.
But I was behind them 2 and bonus.
Can you describe from?
That's how I got through.
Picking up the pieces, James.
I got lucky.
I think that must have been a bit of a surprise for you when Hersey spun. I think, was there a loss of composure or something when that happened? Like, did you start to like either get a bit too excited or maybe a bit a bit too complacent in any way, or did you just stay calm and you just saw the safety car come out and do what you needed to do?
I kind of lost my composure when the safety car came out in the first time when we switched on the softs, because I just overtook him and we had a gap of 3 seconds to Hershey, and I thought even if he stays behind me, Louis Hershey is the 5th wheel on the train, so he doesn't get benefit from the DRS and I can sneak to a win, because I definitely wasn't the fastest on track today out there. So like I've been a bit lucky, so when Hershey spun I was just trying to keep it on track and take the points because I didn't expect making up now 16 points on him. That's unbelievable. That's 10 points advantage now for the next 5 races. So good to work with, definitely. Super happy.
And I think you'll be definitely enjoying next week. Is Singapore a track you like, or is it a track you aren't really too much of a fan of?
Haven't driven it in this game, but it was one of my favorite ones in 19, so I'm really looking forward for the practice now.
And definitely you'll be setting your sights now on potentially having that title in your hands come Japan, and well, hopefully obviously we'll have a nice entertaining battle towards the end, because it did look like for a certain moment that but because of certain circumstances, of course, what happened in the race, we've got a real battle on our hands. But with that, we've got James obviously finishing 3rd again. You're all on your own, aren't you? You're not near 2nd place at the moment. You're nowhere near 4th place either. You're on your own in 3rd at the moment.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a bit of a lonely place, to be honest. Yeah, it was. There wasn't really much racing in that either. It was me making mistakes and people around me making mistakes. It's kind of how I got up. But my pace in that race I thought was excellent, especially at the end. I felt the quickest, and I think Hersey's lack of qualifying pace, I think that was down to his setup. I'm convinced he was running a wet setup because he was so slow on the straight when we got to the dry.
Yeah, and obviously in the wet conditions in the race, yeah, there was no one going to catch him in the wet conditions. I think it was a bit of a
Unbelievable
moment.
pace.
Yeah, I know. I seen it. I said to myself, and I'm in F7, and I said to myself, like, I wouldn't even think that I'd be able to be keeping up with him, and you know, he's got incredible pace, but you're really both defying the odds and really making sure that you benefit from the mistakes that he's making. And I mean, he'll be back next week. I'm sure he'll be back in a rather angry sort of, frustrated sort of rhythm. And I said on stream, you don't want to make Lewis Hamilton angry. We look at the dominance from Hersey. We can kind of relate it to. You don't want to make Lewis Hamilton angry because he seems to perform better when he's angry. That's what they all say anyway. But we don't know when he's angry or not angry, to be honest. Singapore next week for you, James. Is it a track you like, or are you similar to Dende? You haven't tried it.
I haven't really tried it. I used to really like it, but I'm on a controller, and some of the middle sector's just the right pain in the bum on a controller. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, it is positive vibes then tonight from both of you, and obviously you'll be going into next week quite positive, as we are obviously, as we've already discovered, we are at Singapore next week. It's round 8 for the PSGL F10 Championship. Only 5 rounds left to go, and we have got a bit of a handful of a title race on our hands. It's Hersey versus Dende, and perhaps James Stovey could bring in a little bit of a battle as well. But with that, I've been Sam, the commentator for tonight, and I've been joined by the two podium sitters of Dende and James, and we will see you again next week.